Simon, you described last weekend's game against Widnes as a must-win in the context of the playoff run. Obviously, we then fell to a defeat. At this point, are we just chasing the pack, or is there still hope that we can make those playoffs?
I think we've said it for weeks that every game's a must-win. We find ourselves chasing. Yeah. So there isn't a free hit anywhere. You've got to win them all to give yourselves the best chance. And disappointing at weekend. 26 points at home should be enough to win, shouldn't it? But as I said straight after, in as many words, but there's two sides of the game, and I think in that first 20 minutes, that's where the damage was done when we didn't want to do the defensive side of things, and they undid us with some training ground stuff. It was poor from us, so disappointing. But yeah, we move on, and we're in that position now where we're still in the same position. We could still get in the six, but we've got to do our bit, and if we don't do our bit, we're no chance. I think we are going to be relying on other fixtures going our way. But it's an interesting league, isn't it? It has been all year, and a few of those teams that are in the mix, the bottom end of the six and trying to get in the six, they all play each other this week and in the coming weeks. So there are going to be some points dropped, and depending how they go in the remaining fixtures, that might help us out. But it's all that, none of that really matters if we don't do our bit. So that's the focus for us, and we're not looking at it as a 4 games now. We're not looking at it as a four game block. We just look at this one. We need to throw all the eggs in the basket to get this one, and then push them all into the next basket for the next one. So look, disappointing. It's been that sort of year, hasn't it? Up and down all the way through, and again for most of us that have watched every week, it's been quite similar at times. I mean, there was probably a handful of bloopers at the weekend, individual errors that they capitalised on. Yeah, so disappointing, but it's what it is. We have to just get on with it, don't we?
Yeah, you mentioned those training ground moves, so to speak, that they scored 3 in quick succession, but then the lads dug in, fought back. So to go in at 14 apiece at half time, you must have still been confident in the lads' ability to get the job done at that point.
Yeah, really happy where we were at half time considering that start. Again, we spoke at half time about we can't repeat that start, and we did. We had 10 sets by the time we got to the final 10 minutes of the game, which meant we didn't take enough energy away from them, didn't have any field position. And then when we did get some opportunities, we come up with some average outcomes, if you like. We got a scrum, and the message was patience, and we're going touch play 1 on the scrum, and we're all applauding it when we get them. So it's a bit of a balance, but at the same time, I think lads just need to be a little bit smarter at times, and again, that's been a recurring theme. It's something we haven't been able to kick, but there's no time like the present to kick that one into this one this week. So yeah, again, disappointing game. We scored enough points to win, but yeah, the message is our defence hasn't been good enough, and that's something we'll have to be good at. Certainly this week against a big pack at Whitehaven.
You mentioned the lack of field position. It was the first time in a number of months, I think best part of 4 months, that you've been able to field your 6 and 7 as they are on the back of the shirt. We saw Joe Keys come back in. What impact do you think he had? Do you think there was a little bit of rustiness there with him not been playing for a few weeks?
No, not really. He's trained really well. And it's credit to him, he's worked really hard in the background on his rehab to make sure he's right now. I thought he was good, and listen, the discussion in the week with the boys, we welcomed Keezy back, told them we were playing, everyone obviously were happy with that because Keezy's been very good for us, hasn't he, since arriving, but the message was you all need to be very good to make his transition. An easy one back into the team, but I don't think they came up with their part of it. I thought Keezy were good. Building in confidence, he ran a couple of times towards the end of the game and got some joy, and it was almost there, but yeah, across the game I thought he had a lot of nice touches, and I think he'll just be looking to make sure he gets on ball a bit more this week and build on that again.
Yeah, stand him in good stead moving forward, you believe then?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's when you've been out for a while with a pretty decent injury, coming back in that and knowing how Widnes were going to throw some bodies at him, I think it can be quite a tough mental challenge, but I think he ticked that box, and as I say, I think he did some really good stuff in the game. But while Keezy was probably 6.5, 7 out of 10, the average of his teammates needed to be 7.5. Do you know what I mean? To make sure they were all on the same page and doing a pretty good job. But I don't think he got that from them. Which, if everyone can up the game this week and he can build on the last one, I think we'll see a better version of not only Keezy but a better version of us as well.
You mentioned there as well some costly errors, which at key points. At this point in the year, there's only 4 games left to go. Is this the sort of time of year to throw the baby out with the bathwater and make wholesale changes, or do you have to stick with the belief that these lads that you've entrusted for so long can get the job done?
Yeah, using my words, baby out of the bathwater. But there will be changes. Some may be forced due to some knocks we've got, but there will be changes. I have shown a lot of trust in a lot of people who've been very good for this club over a long time, and at times it's not been repaid in performance. It's not done on purpose. There's a whole load of factors that go into a game, and a lot of circumstances that are obvious on the field, and a lot of stuff that aren't, and the whole thing that goes around it. So I'm not dirty on anyone in particular, but yeah, I think there's a few people that, you know, if we just look at the last 2 games, the start of our game has been poor, so I think we'll have a look at how we can mix up our pack and make sure we've still got the impact off the bench that we need. But yeah, there's a few people that have been patient, and it's been tough for them as well, and I'm very mindful of that. When the team's not playing well, it's easy for them to have an argument, I suppose. When you're winning, tell people they're not playing, they kind of swallow it and go, oh, I'll have to wait for them, you know, to drop off. But you know, we haven't been at the races, have we? And I've shown trust in people, and yeah, I think fair to say in the last couple they probably haven't paid me out or paid the team out. So there will be a couple of changes, and I'm looking forward to seeing what those lads bring, because when you're leaving people out, they're obviously upset about it. They feel they can bring something, so they'll get an opportunity, a few of them this week, to show us what they can do. Confidence
has been a big factor in this squad this year, and obviously we described that game as a must-win game. The lads were quite dejected following obviously suffering a defeat in what was classed as a must-win game. How do you keep that morale high, knowing that every week is so crucial going forward?
Yeah, good question. Probably one you have to ask the playing group, I think. You know, we've been up and down all year, haven't we? We've put a month together, I think, before the final, so culminating in the final at Batley, where confidence was high and we were feeling pretty good about ourselves, got a couple of good results running into that bit, and then, you know, we get a loss and we just dropped off a little bit again. Preparation will remain the same for us. I mean, if it's good enough to get wins, it should be good enough to keep repeating that, shouldn't it? And we've been quite consistent with that, so I think ultimately the teams we're playing against are good, but the boys on field need to just be able to stick in the game longer, start the games better for starters, and confidence comes off the back of that, doesn't it? We should be confident. They're a good team. Results might suggest otherwise, but you know, in that group we've got a good set of players that can do it, and we just need to get behind them. Really, like, I'm not kicking stones and sulking. I don't want to finish this season on a whimper. They certainly don't. But we've got to. Our actions have got to match our words, which unfortunately is something I've referred to more times than I would have liked this year. But that's certainly the case moving forward in this next month.
You mentioned there could be some forced changes. Is there any injuries to report from that witness game?
I'm not going to give them away because we haven't got a big squad, and it'll rule a few people out straight away. But the only obvious one is Jake. Jake obviously got his head knock, and then absolutely innocuous in training, just running, doing the return to play protocol, and rolled his ankle, blew up pretty big, so he's been struggling. I wouldn't have thought he'll be ready this week. Other than that, yeah, there's 2 or 3 bodies to check on, so we'll see how it looks tonight.
But you'll obviously welcome James Woodburn-Hall, who should have passed his HIA protocols now. Can we see him potentially return?
Yeah, Woody will be back in. I think we missed him last week. He's been a threat with the ball in hand, hasn't he? Yeah, we missed him last week. I think we did create some opportunities, but we just didn't have that spark about us to either deliver the final pass, pick the final pass, or put them under enough pressure. And he certainly does that when he's carrying the ball. People have to account for him. So it'd be nice to get Woody back in. He's good. He looked very good in training Tuesday night. So yeah, we'll find a way in for Woody and see how it all looks. But yeah, listen, they're ready to go. We'll put a bit of hard work through them tonight, try and work on a few things that'll help us at the weekend, as we always do, and see if we can't get up there and put our best foot forward.
We mentioned confidence in previous questions there as a bit of a motivation, but another motivation in rugby league can be desperation at times. Obviously we're going to Whitehaven, who are sort of teetering on that relegation battle brink. What threats do you think they pose with being a side that potentially is fighting for the lives?
Yeah, we've both got plenty to play for, haven't we? And that's it. Who wants it the most? I think that's kind of rugby league is a technical game. I don't buy into the simple bit. I think I've said that a few times. Everyone says, "Oh, it's a simple game." It's not. There's a lot going on. However, there are some very simple and basic elements of it that if you don't get them right, you will not give your talent a chance to shine, and that's that physical bit, the intent. Are we tackling them, or are we tackling them with a proper purpose? Are we carrying the ball just to carry it and get to that point, or are we running to bust? Do you know what I mean? There's got to be a level of intent that hasn't been there, particularly at start of games, the last two for us. So I think they're a big team, big pack, very good kicking game between Doran and Carter there, and they've got a great young fullback in Rock. So there's plenty of it for us to watch out for, but not going to focus on Whitehaven too much this week. It's more of at this stage of the year, it's a mental prep really, getting our heads in the right spot to make sure we start that game well, and even if we don't start it well, being able to just let that one go and not dwell on it, and restart our sort of process then, if you like. So I think it'll be a good game. It always is up there. It's always a tough one. I wouldn't expect anything different. I don't want anything different, to be fair, after our last one, where I don't think we did work, certainly not smart enough against Widnes. So a really good test for us to go up there this week.
You're hoping to see a bit of a backlash then from that result? You're hoping to see a bit more impetus from your
If we can get our effort at the, I don't think our effort has been bad. The intent's been missing. If we can get our headspace right and get the intent right, I think we're in with a really good shot. And listen, they're a decent team. We did a job on them early in the year. They won't have forgot that. But we need to show how much it means to us to keep our season alive. I think you said they were desperate before. Like, yeah, they might be desperate to stay away from what's happening beneath them there, but so are we. We don't want to go drop any further, and we want to try and climb up. And we've got to show individually, as a collective, how much playing for Halifax means to us. Yeah, and that's it really. We've just got to throw everything at it and make sure we start in good fashion to give ourselves a chance, because that's something we've been guilty of not doing.